the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. In it, he incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdom and also secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. For some 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt from approximately 52,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was an immortal, that is, he had conquered death, passing only when he willed, and even then not through death. His vast wisdom made him ruler over the various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. And now that I found out that Thoth is, also Quetzalcoatl, and finding out the stuff about Quetzalcoatl and what I believe Quetzalcoatl built Aslan, which is the rock wall, which Aslan also means Atlantis. God, it just makes sense why a Council for National Policy member would have a 3.5-ton granite stone with hieroglyphs on it in his house that came from the ancient rock wall in Rockwall, Texas. Huh. Yeah. Man, oh man. Now you see why I'm onto all this stuff now, don't you? My goodness, folks. Never thought those two things would intersect. Boy, I was wrong about that. When it came time for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the great halls of Amenti. He placed in it his records and appointed guards for his secrets among the highest of his people. In later times, the descendants of these guards became the pyramid priests, by which Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom. The recorder, by those in the age of darkness which followed in his passing, in legend, the halls of Amenti became the underworld, the halls of the gods where the soul passed after the death for judgment. During later ages, the ego of Thoth passed into the bodies of men in the manner described in the tablets. As such, he incarnated 3 times in his last being, known as Hermes, the thrice-born, Hermes Trismegistus, yeah. In this incarnation, he left the writings known to modern occultists as the Emerald Tablets, a later and far lesser exposition of the ancient mysteries. The tablets translated in this work are 10 which were left in the Great Pyramid in the custody of the pyramid priests. The 10 are divided into 13 parts for the sake of convenience. The last 2 are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large. Really? Now, I didn't know that. So the last 2 tablets, let me get this straight. The last 2 Emerald Tablets of Thoth are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large? I'd like to have you release them to me then, please. Let me decide if I can handle it or not. Let me decide if, it's too big for me to wrap my mind around. Please challenge me. Blow my mind. Let me see what you got. Go ahead and give me those last 2 tablets. Let me decide for myself if you're going to blow my mind. I think not. Go ahead and let me have it. However, in those contained herein are secrets which will prove of inestimable value to the serious student. They should be read not once but 100 times, for only thus can the true meaning be revealed. A casual reading will give glimpses of beauty, but more intensive study will open avenues of wisdom to the seeker. But now, a word to how these mighty secrets came to be revealed to modern man after being hidden so long. Some 1300 years BC, Egypt, the ancient Kem, was in turmoil, and many delegations of priests were sent to other parts of the world. Among these were some of the pyramid priests, who carried with them the emerald tablets as a talisman by which they could exercise authority over the less advanced priestcraft of races descended from other Atlantean colonies. The tablets were understood from legend to give the bearer authority from Thoth. The particular group of priests bearing the tablets immigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayans, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Among these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar of one of the great temples of the sun god. After the conquest of the Mayans by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples were forgotten. It should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and is still a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated here. The writer, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, also works through the pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid the ancient tablets. This, after adventures which need not be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for it to be, in part, published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, that's a very powerful statement. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond to you. Wow, I like the sound of that. Now, a word as to the material aspect of the tablets. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances, and in effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language, characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloy suspended from a rod of the same material. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries. And for the one who reads with open eyes and open mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read. And the vibration found therein will awaken a response in your soul. In the following pages, I will reveal some of the mysteries which has as yet only been touched upon lightly either by myself or by other teachers or the students of truth. Man's search for understanding of the laws which regulate his life has been unending, yet always just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from the material man's vision. The truth has exited, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision by turning inward or outward, not outward, in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key to the unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is unutterable, for it exists as an entity in lanes which transcend all material words or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths, and many times the door is not opened because the key seems so great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we can understand that all keys, all material symbols, are manifestations and are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in all universes move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planets is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of the law which connect man and the material and the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man, for the mind partakes of both the material and immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature and so strengthen his will that it is able to concentrate all powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, life, and love only begins on the material plane, carried to its ultimate, its final goal, its complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the material is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages, I will give an interpretation of the Emerald Tablets and their secret, hidden, esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. Light of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will open many new fields of thought. Read and be wise, but only if the light of your own consciousness awakens the deep-seated understanding, which is an inherent quality of the soul. Heavy stuff there. Yowza. So that's a preface of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Here we go. Tablet number 1, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I, Thoth, the Atlantean master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king magician living from a generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after these records of the mighty wisdom of the great Atlantis. In the great city of Kior on the island of Undal, in a time far past, I began this incarnation. Not as the little men of the present age did, the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die, but rather from aeon to aeon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where river of life flows eternally onward. 100 times 10 have I descended the dark way that led into light. As many times as I have ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength and power has been renewed. Now for a time I descend, and the men of Chem is alchemy in ancient Egypt, and the men of Chem shall know me no more. But in a time yet unborn I will rise again, mighty and potent, requiring an accounting of those left behind me. Then beware, O men of alchemy, if ye have falsely betrayed my teaching, for I shall cast ye down from your high estate into the darkness of caves from whence ye came. Betray not my secrets to the men of the north or the men of the south, lest my curse fall upon you. Remember and heed my words, for surely I will return again and require of thee that which you guard. I, even from beyond time and from beyond death, I will return, rewarding or punishing ye as you have requited your trust. You sound familiar here? Jesus is coming back. He's going to come back. And if you ain't got your shit together, he's going to kill you. Sound familiar? Alien gods going around setting themselves up, telling everybody that they're, the all-powerful, getting them to worship them. Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond the conception of the little people now around me. It means humans by little people. Knowing the wisdom of old, seeking far within the heart of infinity, knowledge that belonged to earth's youth. Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of light who dwelt among us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. In all of these, greatest among the children of men was my father, Thoth-me, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. Mouthpiece after the three of the dweller of Unal, speaking to the kings with a voice that must be obeyed. Grew I there from childhood into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries, until in time there grew within the fire of wisdom, until it burst into a consuming flame. Not desired I, but the attainment of wisdom, until in a great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon that mighty face and lived. For not as the sons of men are the children of light when they are not incarnate in a physical body. So when they're not in a physical body, they're just light beings. Sounds like Pleiadians. By the way, we were referencing that movie Knowing a couple of times in the broadcast. That's what comes down and is taking the kids to see life on another planet, Pleiadians. When they start showing up, it's really not good news for your planet. I've heard people saying they've been seeing Pleiadians, in their dreams of like, that's not good news. These guys only show up when a planet's about to be completely fucking destroyed. Chosen was I from the sons of men, taught by the dwellers, so that his purposes might be fulfilled. Purposes yet unborn in the womb of time. Long ages I dwelt in the temple, learning ever and yet ever more wisdom, until I too approached the light emitted from the great fire. Taught me, he did, the path to Amente, the underworld where the great king sits upon his throne of might. Deep I bowed in homage before the lords of life and the lords of death, receiving as my gift the key of life. Free was I from the halls of Amenti, bound not by death to the circle of life. Far to the stars I journeyed until space and time became as naught. So he's gaining immortality here. Transcending the death of the physical body. That's the real secret of the secret societies, Freemasonry and the rest of it. Is how to gain immortality by being conscious of of how you reincarnate through the learning of these teachings. That's really what it's all about. And the Anunnaki talked about how they had, they did not give man the gift of long life, but they could. And we have that in us today. It's, all you have to do is turn on a chromosome. And boom, you've got immortality. Interesting, there was an article I didn't cover here tonight, synchronistically, yet again. It's just been synchronicity after synchronicity the past couple of weeks with everything. Article from the Daily Mail says, Who Wants to Live Forever? Computer models predict that if humans became immortal, it might actually be bad news. A lot of this has been in the news lately, and it seems that they're starting to figure this out. I think they're starting to figure out this key to immortality thing that the ancients knew. Because again, as I've stated many times, we now have a context for what these, the advanced technologies that these ancient texts were talking about. 50 years ago, we didn't. 100 years ago, we didn't. Then, having drunk deep into the cup of wisdom, I looked into the hearts of men, and there I found greater mysteries, and was glad. For only in the search for truth could my soul be stilled and the flame within be quenched. I'm going to get a tattoo of that. Yeah, that's pretty much my credo right there. Wow. For only in the search for truth could my soul be stilled and the flame within be quenched. Down through the ages I lived, seeing those around me taste of the cup of death and return again in the light of life. Gradually from the kingdoms of Atlantis passed waves of consciousness that had been one with me, only to be replaced by a spawn of a lower star. That's heavy. That's heavy. Let me read the... Man. Gradually from the kingdom of Atlantis passed waves of consciousness that had been one with me, only to be replaced by the spawn of a lower star. This is an interesting statement. That's like, one collective consciousness, and everyone in a community or a planet or a world or whatever having the same consciousness, and then that going away and then being replaced with something of much lower quality. That's incredible. In obedience to the law, the word of the master grew into flower. Downward into the darkness turned the thoughts of the Atlanteans, until at last, in this wrath arose from his great Agwanti, the dweller. This word has no English equivalent. It means a state of detachment. Speaking the word, calling the power. Deep in the earth's heart, the sons of Amenti heard and are hearing and directing the changing of the flower of fire that burns eternally, changing and shifting using the logos until that great fire changed its direction. Now, what are they talking about here? They're talking, deep in the heart of the earth. They're talking about the changing the core, the direction of the core, the way the core of the earth spins. That's interesting. Over the world then broke the great waters, drowning and sinking, changing earth's balance until only the temple of light was left. Standing on the great mountain of Endal, still rising out of the waters, some there were who were living, saved from the rush of the fountains. Called to me then the master, saying, Gather ye my people, take them by the arts ye have learned of far across the waters, until you reach the land of the hairy barbarians, dwelling in caves of the desert. Follow there the plan that you know of. I gathered my people and entered the great ship of the master. Upward we rose into the morning. Dark beneath us lay the temple. Suddenly over it rose the waters. Vanished from earth until the time appointed was the great temple. Fast we fled toward the sun of the morning, until beneath us lay the land of the children of Chem. Raging, they came with cudgels and spears, lifted in anger, seeking to slay and utterly destroy the sons of Atlantis. Well, you got to watch that movie, 10,000 BC. You hadn't seen that. It ties right in with that. Pretty interesting. I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it, but then I raised my staff and directed a ray of vibration, striking them in their tracks as fragments of the stone of the mountain. I love this, because what do you cleanse have to say about this now? Here's more translations from ancient texts. These not done by Zechariah Sitchin, and here we have the same stuff verbatim that's in Sumerian text. Break free of your religious priest class programming and understand that this stuff is what they don't want you to know about. If you understand this stuff, then religion has no place. So that's why there's so many disinfo clowns and haters and all that stuff out there. I then raised my staff and directed a ray of vibration, striking them still in their tracks as fragments of stone of the mountain. Then I spoke to them in words calm and peaceful, telling them of the might of Atlantis, saying we were children of the sun and its messengers. I cowed them by my display of magic science, until at my feet they groveled and I released them. Long dwelt we in the land of Chem, long and yet long again, until obeying the commands of the master, who while sleeping yet lives eternally, I sent from me the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions, that from the womb of time wisdom they might rise again in her children. For a long time I dwelt in the land of Chem, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upward I grew into the light of knowledge. The children of Chem were watered by the rains of my wisdom. Blasted I then a path to Amenti, so I might retain my powers, living from age.
Just as a broad topic, what we're going to discuss is
Other chambers I built and left vacant to all, seeming yet hidden within them are the keys to Amenti. That's it right there. He who in courage would dare the dark realms, let him be purified first by long fasting. Lie in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber. Then I will reveal to him the great mysteries. Soon he shall follow me to where I shall meet him. Even in the darkness of earth I shall meet him. I, Thoth, Lord of wisdom, meet him and hold him and dwell with him always. Builded I the great pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of earth's force, burning eternally so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I builded my knowledge of magic science, so that I might be here when again I return from Amenti. Yes, while I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul will incarnate, roaming free, and will dwell among me in men in this form or another, Hermes thrice born. Emissary on earth, I am of the dweller, fulfilling his commands so many might be lifted. Now I return to the halls of Amenti, leaving behind me some of my wisdom. Preserve ye and keep ye the command of the dweller. Lift ever upwards your eyes toward the light. Surely in time ye are one with the master. Surely by right you are one with the master. Surely by right yet are one with the all. Now I depart from you. Know my commandments, keep them and be them, and I will be with you, helping and guiding you into the light. Now before me opens the portal. I go down into the darkness of night. So that's the end of tablet 1 there. Moving on to tablet 2. Tablet number 2 of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth here. Deep in Earth's heart lie the halls of Amenti. Far neath the islands of sunken Atlantis, halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in fire of the infinite all. Far in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light looked down on the world, seeing the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond. Knew they that only by freedom from bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. Down they descended and created bodies, taking the semblance of men as their own. The masters of everything said after their forming, we are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men. Then for a dwelling place, far neath the earth's crust, blasted great spaces by their power, spaces apart from the children of men, and surrounded them by forces and power, and shielded them from harm, they, the halls of the dead, built it underground in the earth. Side by side then placed they other spaces, filled them with life and with light from above. They then builded the halls of Amenti, that they might eventually dwell there, living with life to eternity's end. 32 were there of their children, sons of light who had come among men, seeking to be free from the bondage of darkness, those who were bounded by the force from beyond. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward towards the night. Placed in the center a ray of great potence, life-giving, light-giving, feeling with power all who came near it. Placed they around it thrones, 32, places for each of the children of the night. Placed so that they were bathed in the radiance, filled with the life from the eternal light. There, time after time, they placed their first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies, quickening, awakening the spirit of life. There in the circle from aeon to aeon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. There in the halls of life they lie sleeping. Free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Time after time, while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate they into the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onward and upward, out of the darkness into the light. There in the hall of life, filled with their wisdom, know not to the races of man, living forever neath the cold. Fire of life sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, and they come from the depths to the lights to be among men. Infinite they among the finite men find. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into light, free he is made of the halls of Amenti, free of the flower of light and of light. Guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. It's almost like a song. It's a rhythmic almost. Guided by he by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. It's almost got, it's got a rhythmic quality to it. That's interesting. You put this stuff to music, does the frequencies of singing this, open the fucking portal to the halls of Amenti? I don't know. Could be. There he may dwell as one with the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of light. Seated within the flower of radiance sit 7 lords from the space-times above us, helping and guiding through infinite wisdom the pathway through time of the children of men. Mighty and strange, they veiled with their power, silent, all-knowing, drawing the life force. Different, yet one with the children of men, and different, yet one with the children of light. Custodians and watchers of the force of man's bondage, ready to lose when the light has been reached. First and most mighty sits the veiled presence, Lord of lords, the infinite nine. Over the other from each the lords of the cycles. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, each with his mission, each with his powers, guiding, directing the destiny of man. There they sit, mighty and potent, free of all time and space. Not of this world they are, yet akin to it. Elder brothers they of the children of men, judging and weighing. They with their wisdom watching of the progress of light among men. There before them I was led by the dweller, watched him blend with one from above. Then from he came forth a voice, saying, Great art thou, Thoth, among children of men, free henceforth of the halls of Amenti, master of life among children of men. Taste not of death except as thou wilt. Well, that sounds like Crowley. Taste not of death except as thou will it. Drink thou of life to eternity's end. Henceforth forever is life. Thine is for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. Dwell here or leave here when thou desireth. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth. Child of the light that has grown among men, choose thou thy work, for all must labor. Never be free from the pathway of light. One step thou hast gained on the long pathway upward, infinite now is the mountain of light. Each step thou taketh but heightens the mountain. All of thy progress but lengthens the goal. Approach ye ever the infinite wisdom. Ever before thee recedes the goal. Free are ye made now of the halls of Amenti, to walk hand in hand with the lords of the world, one in one purpose, working together to bring light to the children of men. Then from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me onward through the halls of the deep hidden land. He led me through the halls of Amenti, showing me the mysteries that are known not to man. Through the dark passage, downward he led me into the hall, where sit the dark death. Vast as space lay the great hall before me, walled by darkness, yet filled with light. Before me arose a great throne of darkness. Veiled on it sat a figure of the night. Darker than darkness sat the figure, dark with a darkness not of the night. Before it then paused the Master, speaking the word that brings about life, saying, O Master of darkness, guide of the way from life unto life, before thee I bring a son of the morning. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. Know him and see him, one of our brothers, lifted from darkness into the light. Release thou his flame from its bondage. Free let it flame through the darkness of night. Raised then the hand of the figure. Forth came a flame that grew clear and bright, and rolled back swiftly the curtain of darkness, and unveiled the hall from the darkness of night. Then grew in the great space before me flame after flame from the veil of the night. Uncounted millions leaped before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire. Others there were there that shed a dim radiance, flowing but faintly from out of the light. Some there were that faded swiftly, others that grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with light that could never be quenched. Coming and going like fireflies in the springtime, filled they the space with light and life. This is a bunch of souls, like the Hall of Souls. Then spoke a voice mighty and solemn, saying, These are lights that are souls among men. Yep, I was right. Growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reached the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then said I send my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life. Steadily upward throughout the ages, growing and expanding into yet another flame, lighting the darkness with yet greater power, quenched yet unquenched by the veil of the night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for life eternal exists in the all. Only an obstacle I am in the pathway, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of night. Then in the midst of the flames and the darkness grew there one that drove forth the night, flaming, expanding even brighter, until at last was nothing but light. Then spoke my guide, the voice of the Master. See your own soul as it grows in the light, free now forever from the Lord of the night. Forward he led me through many great spaces filled with the mysteries of the children of light, mysteries that man may never know, yet of he too is of a son of the light. Backward then he led me into the light of the hall of the light. I knelt then before the great masters, lords of all from the cycles above. Spoke he then with words of great power, saying, Thou hast been made free of the halls of Amenti. Choose thou thy work among the children of men. Then spoke I, O great Master, let me be a teacher of men, leading them onward and upward until they too are lights among men, freed from the veil of the night that surrounds them, flaming with light that shall shine among men. Then the voice spoke to me, Go as ye will, so it be decreed. Master are ye of your destiny, free to take or reject it at will. Take ye the power, take ye the wisdom, shine as a light among the children of men. Then upward the dweller led me. I dwelt again among the children of men, teaching and showing some of my wisdom. Son of the light, a fire among them. Now again I tread the path downward, seeking the light in the darkness of night. Hold ye and keep ye, preserve my record. Guide it, it shall be to the children of men. So that's the end of tablet number 2. Tablet 3, the key of wisdom. I, Thoth the Atlantean, give my wisdom, give my knowledge, give my power. Freely I give to the children of men. Give that they too might have wisdom, to shine through the world from the veil of the night. Wisdom is power, and power is wisdom, one with each other, perfecting the whole. Be thou not proud, O man, in thy wisdom. Discourse with the ignorant as well as with the wise. If one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. Keep thou not silent when evil is spoken for truth. Like the sunlight, it shines above all. He who oversteppeth the law shall be punished, for only through law comes the freedom of men. Cause thou not fear, for fear is a bondage, a fetter that binds the darkness to men. Follow thine heart during thy lifetime. Do more than is commanded of thee. When thou hast gained riches, follow thine heart, for all these are of no avail if thy heart be weary. Diminish thou not the time of following the heart. It is abhorred of the soul. They that are guided go not astray, but they that are lost cannot find a straight path. If you go among men, make for thyself love, the beginning and end of the heart. If one cometh unto thee for counsel, let him speak freely, that the thing for which he hath come to thee may be done. If he hesitates to open his heart to thee, it is because thou, the judge, doeth wrong. Repeat thou not extravagant speech, neither listen to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. Silence is of great profit. An abundance of speech profiteth nothing. Exalt not thine heart above the children of men, lest it be brought lower than the dust. If thou be great among men, be honored for knowledge and gentleness. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass a time alone with him, debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearing. That which goeth into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are thine must be shared with a friend. Thine, or yours.